can hear us? All right. We're going to roll forward. Um, all right. So Jimmy is not with us yet today. And, we will bring him on board if we're able to. And, my table rules I'm going to restate quickly if you didn't hear them. If you are talking to in front of an NPC, anything you say is considered to be in character unless we're clearly talking mechanics or you have stated that it's, not a character comment, a question for me, things that things like that. Second thing I do is I use the tower here on Fantasy Grounds, and what that lets you do is that lets you hide rolls, and the players get to see their attack rolls, they get to see their saving throws, they get to see all that sort of thing. What I use it for specifically is for skill checks more than anything else, and I like to do that so players respond to the gaming environment and the information I provide them, and not their rolls. And sometimes I totally nerd out if a roll is outstanding or really atrocious, and show it to the players just because, well, that's fun. But for the most part, we use that as a way to give people things to role play with. And we will get right into it pretty quick here. If Jimmy hops on, we'll integrate him to the story. If not, I will be using him as an NPC. And we will also probably drop into some flashback for the different players if we need to, based on how the session's going and how well we've been able to entertain you and sort of fill up the time that we have today. That being said, I think we will, roll through some quick introductions, and we'll start with Idris Regan, Mr. PJ Slamma. Can you talk about yourself and your character, PJ?
Sure, yeah. My name is Philip Slamma. I'm playing Idris Regan. I'm not pimping anything today except this lovely water jug that I'm using to keep myself hydrated, which all of you should do, as I said the last time I was muted. Idris right now is living pretty good on the hill now that he's got a fellow bard around, so we'll see where things go with Alwyn Moreland there. And that's about all he's thought about so far today.
Um, Jenna Binks slash Jen, would you please, introduce yourself, talk about your character?
So I am Jen. I play Jenna Bink, who is the smartest, saddest gnome. She is currently struggling with the fact that no one loves her in the party, but everyone loves her outside of the party. So we shall see where that goes, and we shall see what new toys she can figure out how to construct.
Excellent. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself and Penny?
Yes, my name's Matt. I'm playing Penny, who is a former slave Dokre, who's over here listening to some gnome whine about how nobody loves me. My life is so hard. I grew up with a family, getting 3 meals a day every day. But besides that, Penny's a very happy person and enjoying her life right now of robbing her fellow party members' families. And I have nothing to plug on social media or anything like that.
We had when last we met, you had went to the Galen household, interacted with the Galen household, and spent some time with them, sort of figuring out what to do next. And the conversation that we had was that everybody had a little bit of shopping that they wanted to do, which you all did, and a little bit of investigations that you wanted to do, which you all did, and in some cases some goods that had been given slash permanently borrowed that we needed to secure a little bit of compensation for. And you had gone and also talked to Fletcher William, and he really laid out for you some of the challenges that you were facing. And the three of you left with Alwyn Moreland, and Alwyn Moreland walked with you over to the Come Back Inn. And our Forsalanto, Delbert, had stayed and had a conversation with Fletcher that he'll be sharing with you at some point, I imagine. But it is the four of you walking, the three of you walking with Alwyn Moreland to the Come Back Inn. And she looks over her shoulder at you as you're walking beside you, and she says, "So, I'm thinking, Idris, that we should have an opportunity here to
Sing off. Yes, I totally agree.
perhaps entertain each other and entertain ourselves. So I think there's an opportunity here for us to get to know each other a little bit better. So, do you remember that skit you were in where you played a noble with your friends? I believe it involved several bottles of dwarven spirits, and you standing on top of a table, pretending to be a lion and a noble. Do you remember this episode at all?
Yes, I believe we called it the Lion King. It's where I threw my competitors off a hill and laughed at them and chased their children away. Yes. It was a musical too. It was great.
I seem to remember this in pretty glowing terms. Actually, you have a comic sense of timing that I think might be quite useful for you. I've also been thinking some things through for you. I don't quite have the noble background that you have, but I have a specific skill set in annoying my father to no end. And I think if you were perhaps to, if not take up the bardic tradition, at least become involved in a performance troupe, that might be exquisite and outstanding, and a really interesting way for you to give your father some opportunities to enjoy your skills. Also, it occurs to me that I have heard you articulate some political perspectives that I find interesting and that I think people would find challenging and perhaps subversive, and there is no better forum for such an event than the stage.
Of course. That's right. Everyone needs to hear a good political satirist from time to time. I hear one time, several years ago, he even won an award at a big competition in a place called Orlando.
In Orlando? Hmm.
Yes, it was a big gathering. I saw Lady Sarah Falcon there. She had a weird little goblin she was trying to retrain and rehabilitate. It was weird, but cool.
So, you're moving through the city, and it's late afternoon. The sun's going to be going down in about an hour, and you can watch, the sunlight sort of creep along the face of the buildings as the day shifts. As you go into darkness, there are numerous, light sources here and there, especially in this part of the city around the university and to come back in. So there are some drift globes that float with the watch. There are also some continual light stones that are taken, and exposed. And there are some traditional lamps that are lit also. But for the most part, the city is lit. Now, there are exceptions to that. The main thoroughfares have lighting, but the secondary streets, the side streets, a lot of them don't. So as you move through the city, you get a feeling for the population. The darker it gets, the younger, I guess, the population gets as the sun starts to set. And as a result, you get a really interesting feeling for, who the population of the city really, really, really is. So, as we're moving through the city, you've come out of Fletcher Christian's building there, and you walked, and the comeback in is relatively close. It's actually that building right there. And you go out the front gate and you walk over to the comeback in. Two guardsmen are standing out in front of the comeback in. They are happy to see you. They greet you. They nod to Alwyn Moreland, and they open the door and allow you in. And of course, remember they have to let you back out if Bats allows it. So, all right.
I tell Alwyn I've been thinking of taking up the triangle or finger symbols as my instrument.
All right. You step into the comeback in. And, Alwyn is in front of you, and she plunks down immediately to the table. And there's various assorted citizens sitting in different places. So Bats, of course, is behind the table, as he always is, behind the bar. And you see Sass running about, as well as several other people. Sass is there, and Sunny is there, and Maple is there, and the different barmaids whip around and whip around. So, room is filled with, fairly light amount of people compared to what you often see in the comeback in. But there are, numerous people talking and chatting and having conversations of different sorts. right, let me drop you here and. Oh, Delbert's not with you yet. Oops, sorry for the whistling. All right. Alwyn walks in and goes to the back table and plunks herself down. Do you follow her?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and move your characters over to where you would like to be sitting. And Maple whips over immediately, sees you, and begins to take your order.
Maybe I will have a tall glass of water as usual.
Will this be heavy water or light water?
Sparkling.
Sparkling? Very good. And she takes an order from everybody else. Jenna Bank, do you know what you'd like to drink?
Uh, I'll have that nice calming tea that Bats has. Yeah, that.
And you, Penny?
I'll have the usual, I'll just have an ale or something. Whatever you got that's strong.
And Alwyn says, that sounds like a great idea. Just give me some stout. And so she whips off with your drink. So, fairly light in here tonight compared to some of the things, some of the nights you've been in here. It should pick up as things go later on, but there's not the huge crowd that you see a lot of times. And Alwyn moves forward, or sits forward, and looks at you all, and she says, so, let's talk about what you've been through. What do you think?
Well, it was an amazing experience. I believe we all got to see how each other reacts under stress and pressure, how the team really holds up when confronted by rats. I'm looking at you two. We got to work on that. We're going to do some trainings, but I have a feeling we're going to get a good grasp on the situation.
Are you even allowed to be talking about this with the whole NDA thing you signed and did the thing with the magic stuff?
I'm just talking about rats, that's all. You can't talk about rats? Can you say the word rat?
Yeah, I can say rat just fine. I'm looking at one right now.
There you go. Nailed it.
Alwyn sort of smiles and she fingers a ring and she says, somebody has to step within 5 feet of us to see us. It's a little toy that I've found, so we can be safe in the conversation we have here.
Well, that's a very handy ring. I'm going to need one of those.
You might be able to earn it. The question really is, who do you serve?
I serve myself right now, and I'm getting paid to serve Blackmoor. So, I have 2 masters.
So what do you think the role of bards is here in Blackmoor?
I believe they provide us with entertainment and other niceties, such as commenting on things that others can't, because they have the will and the voice to do so.
So, Genevieve, have you ever met a gnomish bard?
I don't believe so. They normally don't aspire to the intellectual horizons that we need at the university.
There is a family in Mouse called Dringles who are bards and have been liaisons to the gnomish community for many, many years. And gnomish bards aren't necessarily stunning performers in terms of lute or harp or drum, but their sense of humor is often of note. And I have seen Madar Azringel stand on a table in a bar and entertain through observations of the local nobility and other folks who are present for hours on end with descriptions of their foibles. So humor drives him. So, in Penny, what do you think of the cry and bards there?
Well, I know the regular halfling people are more have higher proclivity to the whole bod things. We Dokray folks tend to do the more stabby stuff. Most of the bods I've seen that are Dokray, they're just not real good at the stabby stuff things, and that's why they do that.
No, I've only met one Dokray bard, and he was a historian. And he served your people by documenting what they had passed through and by retelling those stories in epic poems in epic form. Uh, I respected that, but no. But I think the common thing here is that bards become sort of a window into their people and share that understanding of their people throughout the world. So I think that sort of marks you and marks you all. So bards touch you. Now, hypothetically, as bards touch everyone and they see everyone and they have a type of magic, I guess. I guess what I do sometimes is magic. How do you think that might be of use?
Well, I've seen you your kind that cast like that, cure people, know things, show things, inspire others to great heights.
You see Maple stop just at the edge of the 5 foot area. All right. You see Alwyn nod. Maple comes in, sets down your drinks, and she sets down a little plate with apples on it and says, and little oat cookies. And she says, Bat says you need that. And she zips away.
Oh, I need a milk.
She says, gives you a thumbs up, looks at you, thinks she's got it, and heads away. All right. Sticks her face back in and goes, milk? Sees that that's
Yes.
what you want and goes. All right. So, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What you were saying?
Oh, I've seen how versatile bards can be. They're great. A great thing to add to any group. Perhaps maybe you could join ours.
Oh, no. I have other commitments, and I have spent my time in the dungeon. I have no desire to spend time again there. I have been part of expeditions not sanctioned in the way that this is, but I have been below. So I understand what you face.
See, maybe you can help me with the hypothesis that I'm currently formulating, and that is that bards are completely ineffectual in combat situations. See, we have evidence from the gentleman that we visited before we went down into the depths ourselves, where he was not very effectual and obviously was possessed by the Egg of Kut. And further, we've certainly seen Idris attempt to do bardic type things and failed. And now that you had mentioned about the gnomish comedian bards, I am now reminded of a cousin that did those kind of things, and he was quite frankly the family idiot. So, can you elaborate on how bards are actually effective? Because it seems like your powers are entirely dependent upon the psychological and chemical and hormonal imbalances of others.
Interesting. Well, let me posit something here, please. Let me. Um, hmm. Let me think. Who is probably the best sport here amongst the three of you?
Oh, that would definitely be me. Sport wise, yes.
Idris, I want you to kiss me. Make a will save, please.
Oh, I willingly fail. But for giggles. Shamona.
You're like, you feel this magical compulsion, and it's your call. You can kiss her or not. Your business at this point.
I'm gonna go right in, right up to the edge, and then stop and go. I know you wanted to, and then pull away.
um, Alwyn says, outstanding. I did not think you had that in you. But here is
My mind is like a steel trap. Things are always stuck in it.
And she lifts her eyebrow and she looks over at Jenna Bank and she goes and she looks at Penny. Do we have objective data to support this particular hypothesis?
Well, I think you further supported mine.
It only goes to show you, Jenna, like I told you, experience over research.
So the magic that bards use is not the magic that a wizard uses or a priest uses. It's different. It's tied to the craft of performance and it's tied to the craft of the mind. Bards are often subtle in terms of what they do. And our magic is not defined and structured in many of the same ways that what the Cabal is, or that some of the other disciplines that produce magic are. We have a little bit more flexibility as a result, but I can cast a spell that knocks everyone down and profound accepts, inflicts harm on them. I can do that. It comes from a few dissonant chords. I can also, if needed, encourage people to make decisions that I find the most astute and appropriate. Not to Idris, I'll be expecting you to kiss me often. I just knew that perhaps if I did that to Penny or to Jennabank, they would not be enthusiastic about that choice, I guess is the most polite way to put it.
Well, if you phrased it as research, maybe one of them would.
Perhaps, yes. So, so what do you think the role of bards is for the state? Hmm?
Well, besides being town criers and great performances for all of us to enjoy, they serve a great purpose in keeping the masses informed.
Absolutely. So they're a point of information distribution, perhaps, right? A point of information collected, also, perhaps.
Maybe. It depends. I mean, people know who they are and see them all the time, you know.
Brother Jimmy's coming to us.
His teleport spell is slow.
That's okay. Well, I would say the role of the bard is to educate and inform and to anchor connections between people. Milk comes and she zips back away.
Educate and inform, but bards are under no compulsion to provide factual information. They take stories and they lie and they exaggerate. How can that be factual information and educational?
Well, I would posit that each being has a filter that they process information through, and that each person also has a limitation in terms of what they can process or accept or listen to in any given time. And what a bard often does is match the message to the audience. So, for example, I could say to you, as adventurers, as people who have traveled down into the darkness, that what rests beneath our feet is a absolute and total risk for all of us. It's a source of nightmare and potentially destruction. And you would talk to me about that in very frank and straightforward terms, would you not?
Well, I would.
Well, certainly, so I can talk to you about the mortal risk of the things that stand below. I cannot say that necessarily to, Maple or Bindi or any of the other individuals that, are standing here with us today. I would have to say, and she begins to sing. And she, walks quickly through a harmless little ditty about the egg of Coot and the egg of Coot's last invasion and what, rests below and rests above. And she makes it clear that there's a threat, but she doesn't talk about it in stark terms. So she says, in doing so, I make everyone aware of what the risk is, but I do not cause terror, and I cannot be as frank. So there is a filter that information must pass through, and I am sensitive to what individuals can receive. And she nods.
I met an individual like this. I believe he was a bard. He had a beautiful wagon. It had a rainbow on the side. He had a song about butterflies in the sky flying twice as high. It was really aimed at children, and his message really spoke to me. I could see how catering your message to the people makes a lot of sense to get your point across.
One must also consider medium. What form does a poem take? What form does a play take? What form does a book take? What form does a song take? And people are influenced and shaped in different ways. So we find that message. Jenna Bink, does this make sense to you?
I mean, it does, but it still doesn't, I still fail to see the necessity of that kind of education. I mean, people should learn things like chemistry and biology and those kind of things, and math. Math is very important. Science, arcane science.
Well, those are things that rest underneath how we do commerce, how we figure out the universe, but they are not all that life is. So quantify for me love, define for me passion, lay out for me in empirical detail how a human being or a gnome or a Dokrai or an elf makes a choice about what is just and what is good. Ethics cannot be defined by equation or chemistry, at least not at this point. And although arcane science and magic give us gateways into the weave and structure of the world and allow us to manipulate it, some things are ephemeral. They are beyond fundamental definition. So, in short, science, business, commerce, these are things we do to empower life and give us life, but they are not life. Life is the kiss Idris almost had. Life is the hug I bet you received from your mother when your mother came in. Penny, and she looks at Penny, she says, life is not what we suffer through, it is the opportunities we have to live each day. So, brothers and sisters, I would say that as a bard, I am an artist of spirit. Step out of character for a second. Welcome aboard, Jimmy. We missed you.
I apologize. I thought about it, but yesterday, but for some reason it just completely slipped my mind today.
Welcome to your 50s, brother.
I know, right?
All right, folks have just walked over to the Come Back In. They are sitting down with Alwyn, and she is, sharing some, her opinions with them, and sort of challenging, but providing sort of feedback. And you will, with Quickfoot, come rolling through the door right now. All right, and you can see him across the way. So, absolutely, Penny, I can't imagine you wouldn't spot that immediately. You see him come through the door, and Delbert looks around, scans you, and heads towards you all.
I'll wave him down.
All right, very good.
I'll walk over.
Those are real happy, nice thoughts you have on what life is and like happiness and stuff. But I feel like they are the ramblings of someone who has never really experienced hardships like so many here in Blackmoor that just drink on their flavored beverages and enjoy their happy meals every day.
I have been I've had people's hands on me when I did not desire it. I have been stolen from. I have seen my mother murdered. I have stood shoulder to shoulder with Knights of the Crown and the King himself and fought. I have watched a village burn. I have seen Skandaharans drag off children as slaves, and I have stood on dark shores where the Egg of Kut holds domain and fought them off. And she opens up her collar and starts to undo her, the front of her blouse, and points to a hole right above her heart, large scar. She goes, "This is where I died the first time. I know something of hardship. And if I did not embrace the joy that I could find, my heart would be as dark as this sword strike. But I understand why you resist. I understand, Penny. I do."
There's nothing wrong with a good flavored beverage.
Delbert, Maple comes walking over, and she sits down, a glass of brandy directly in front of you. All right, puts her hand on her shoulder and says, "It's good to see you, Delbert," and she whips back away. So,
And I'll wink at Penny and have a seat.
It's nice of you to join us, Delbert. As you can see, we're having a real existential conversation here where they're telling us about the happy fluffies of life and how we should all appreciate that.
Penny, I would give you more inspiration than I could, but the table caps at 3. That was well done in character. So, by the way, DM steps back into character, and Alvin says, "So, Delbert, we were talking about the nature of bards and bardic magic and their role in the state. So, Genebink, what do you believe? What do you believe the role is based on the feedback that we've had? I mean, Delbert's missed several of the things we've talked about.
Well, I mean, I find all of this very confusing, which is not something I think I've ever said before. Um, but I like to think that I can learn anything, so clearly I need to learn more about these things. Because you make good points, but philosophy is never something I've enjoyed or liked or any of that thing.
Well, I can understand that. It's not anchored in absolutes, and I see you are an expert at pursuing absolutes and having things defined in precise and permanent ways. And the affairs of the heart and spirit aren't anchored there. Might I suggest some poetry?
Um, yes, I've tried reading it before, but I mean the variations on the different meters and formats and the looseness of things is just mind-boggling.
I would say there's an elven uh, sage called Aruzmas, and his Lay of the Fallen Star, where he talks about what happened to the Peshwa and to Hadin, you might find useful. And it's a contemplation of epistemology and absolute truth, and I think you might enjoy that. And I'd be more than willing to discuss it with you at any given point.
I believe they also have a slam poetry night at the university, Jenna. You can see how the masters do it.
Slam poetry is that something that barbarians do?
Oh, they could if they wanted to, but they don't. I happened to judge one of them. It was amazing. The things they could do with their words. Bigly.
Yeah, I heard about a whole group of orcs that were bards once. I think they were called an orchestra.
Oh, oh, oh. So, did you hear about the skeleton who walked into a bar? He ordered a drink and a mop. So, Delbert, I trust you had a good conversation with Fletch.
I did, yes.
Outstanding. So, what do you know about the College of Bardic Instruction here at the University of Blackmoor?
Um, what do I know about the College of Bardic Instruction?
You know, people of all sorts of classes, usually lower and middle class, enroll in it. It has a weird sort of connection with Fletcher's Department of Contemporary History. You wouldn't think that the arts would align directly with that, but a lot of the information that's disseminated is passed through bards, and there's a whole bunch of storytelling that sort of builds myth and builds how people understand the world. So you think the connection's probably through that, at least academically. And it's got in any given year between 3 and 7 people who are in it, and it's actually got a pretty low graduation rate. About 65-70% of the people who pass through it end up falling out of the Bardic College, and it's small school. There's a one major faculty member who is a bard who you've met. Her name is Ariana, and of course Alwyn has taught individually as she was in town and it was appropriate. So nice little specialized part of the university that is held in fairly high esteem, but is not what the university is known for. The university is known for arcane magic, history, engineering, metallurgy, philosophy, and of course law. So
Very little, actually. It's never really piqued my interest, uh, other than, you know, the music and dancing part of it. I, you know,
I do know. And she snaps her fingers and waves, and you guys have worked your ways through your first drink, and they load you right back up again. So, Genevieve still having tea?
Of course.
All right. So, load you right back up again. Now, she brought you, when you said sparkling water, Idris, she brought you some, probably it was champagne or the closest to it that you could get. Do you want that again, or do you want water?
Oh, the bubbly water is the best.
All right. So, she's going to continue to bring you bubbly kind of water until you wave her off, right?
Yup.
So she goes, so how do we think? And she kicks back with her lute and she starts striking boats. She says, how do you think that bardic magic works, Delbert?
um, okay. Well, would Delbert have any theories about this? I mean,
If you're trained in
I guess I would know a little bit.
if you're trained in Arcana, so that is if you're trained, you check the box. Go ahead and drop into the tower for me.
Okay.
Can Jenna Bink do this as well?
Yes, she may. She's trained, is she not?
I hope so. Yes.
Going to be a real interesting time researching if you're not.
All right, so for both of you, your basic understanding of bardic magic is that through the structure, it's almost mathematical, through the structure of sound and chords, the weave is impacted and spells occur. And it's a very specialized training, and you have to have natural aptitude. It's not like magic where if you have a certain level of intelligence, you can be taught. Bards, although they touch on structure through the music that they do, there has to be an innate capability. And one of the uniform things that you both understand about bards is they are very charming and charismatic people in general. That's one of the unifying principles behind them. So that's kind of what you know. So
I know that it works through, the force of your personality more than anything else.
it does, and not everyone who can be a bard. Not everyone can be a bard. Many people attempt to study, but they don't have the gift. They don't have the knack. They can't touch the weave intuitively, transform the weave into music, and channel it. They just don't have that ability. So, and it's always been of interest to me that the bardic colleges and the bards are not deeply regulated by the wizards' cabal. So, I mean, why do you all think that is?
Well, I believe they are required to come to the defense of the kingdom, as all spellcasters are.
Amen. This is true.
And I mean, who wants to regulate them anyway? It's not like they're the ones casting fireballs or chain lightnings or manipulating people's minds with things. They just sing good songs, the top 100 hits. That's what they're good for.
How can you say that after she tried to get you to kiss her? Of course they manipulate minds.
Oh, she didn't manipulate my mind. I was ready to go, but I respect that lady. This lady. Wouldn't do it. Not even for science, because you got to let someone into your heart first. You just can't go right in,
Oh, Delbert, kiss me. Make a will save, please. Twice in one day! I'm losing my touch. So she says, perhaps you've all been blessed by the folks below. So I would say it's specific individuals who can prosper as bards. And I think it's a path for anyone who has an intuitive understanding of magic on some level. And of course, the services that we perform and the lack of challenge that we do bring to the state is perhaps why we've never been tightly regulated. I think that's probably true. She takes another sip and looks at you and says, so, if I said the coot, the coot, the coot, what would you say?
I've
Jenna
heard
Bink
that
starts
phrase
humming.
before.
Yeah, do we have to make any save or anything to not
Yeah,
start?
are you trying to not have it come into your head?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, go ahead and make a will save. Jen, you just, or you can make a will, charisma, or an intelligence save. All right, you're not having any of this, Penny. And Jenna starts to hum it, and she says, all right, so you've been below. You've encountered things before. What do you think the Egg of Coot's threat is to you all?
Possession?
Uh, Possession, transformation, all these things. I have seen this happen. And I will tell you, Frank, things that others will not, because I think some of the restrictions that are placed on who can speak to you and when are false, especially as you've been once below now and have survived. So you will touch things below that will warp and twist your mind and spirit. That is an incremental erosion of who you are. I only know of one person who has been able to expunge the effect of the darkness that rests below, and she is a close and good friend of mine. What do you know of Peshwa mystics in Mokan?
The ones who ride around on the horses and burn all that sage.
That's those people. Have you ever heard of a gal called Ikaru?
Ikahu.
Ikaru, probably not. Jenna Binks, like, yes, you've heard about Ikabu. She's a Peshwa mystic. She is a Wokan. She has been able to bring people out of the darkness who have stood too close to the egg of Kut. And if that should happen to you, let me know, and I will do what I can to bring you to her. So, she will take you to places you have not been before. She knows the hidden pathways that only the Peshwa gods walk, and in so doing, she can help expunge that impact. But not everyone is successful in it. But you will find as you walk, as you pass below in the darkness, as you determine what is below, and I have pieces of my mind that are gone. I have pieces of my consciousness that have been damaged from what I passed through. She can perhaps help.
Well, that's good to know, but I don't think that any of us have any problems yet.
Oh, without a doubt, you should be fine. And she begins to hum, the coot, the coot, the coot. Puts her hand on the table, stops herself, and says, "You should be fine, Jennabank. I have no doubt of that." So she begins to play, and she says, "Let us sing." And so she's going to lead you guys in song if you want to. All right. She actually gets up and starts to dance at one point, and people in the bar, the bar's starting to fill up with all sorts of people now. They're dropping in and they're, enjoying what she's, got to, enjoying what she's delivering, what she's providing. And you've got different folks coming in and sitting down now, people from all over. So, what would you like to do tonight, folks? This is actually pretty dang good time, to be honest with you.
I mean, Penny is going to attempt to get plastered and ignore this horrible bard person telling me to enjoy life.
As she enjoys life.
As she enjoys life.
Oh, there's no
Mic
enjoyment here.
on.
It's drinking to forget, not to
Mic
remember.
off.
All right. So
Jenna Bink will be expanding her ethnographic study to try to quantify love and passion as being played by Alwyn.
Jen, I want you to go ahead and make an insight check. Thonians are bizarre. Delbert, she at one point during the night, she leans in close and puts her forehead up against your forehead, and she says to you, and she's flirting with you. It looks like, but she says, All right. You folks can all make an insight check if you want. All right. Let's see. Idris and Penny, both of you see Delbert respond. That's what they're for, PJ. See Delbert respond, and his head sort of rocked back a little bit. And, she has touched and put her hands on all of you and talked to you. She's a very physical person. She's one of those people that just always is hugging or touching or um, laying hands on folks. And normally it's a source of comfort, but you see Delbert, sort of his head rears up, and then you see him say something back. If you want to make a perception check, go for it. Okay. Okay, Jenna, you can make a perception check too here. You just won't have context. Okay, guys, she whispers really well, and there's that damn ringing play of hers too, right? So, so she sits down next to Delbert, and she puts her hand on his hand, and she says, "So, dear, when can I come over and meet your mother?" "Well, I know your mother, but I think I should come over and, make her understand exactly what I feel for you." And she's grossly flirting with you.
You can come over anytime. How's tomorrow?
"I will see you tomorrow. So, should I stop in for, mid morning tea? Does this sound like an outstanding choice then?"
Perfect.
Very good. And so she continues to flirt with you for a little bit, and then she starts to play. And then over on the table, with the long, with the cloth, right? Over here, which is often to make a, a quick stage. There's people start pounding, and they're like, "Oh, win, oh, win, oh, win." And she casually steps up on the table, and she starts to play. And she sometimes things that my players do to me in chat are just wrong, just so we're all clear. So she begins to perform, all right? And she is pretty good. She's been drinking a little bit tonight, so she's not nearly as sharp as she normally is, but it's a solid performance, and people really seem to enjoy it. So, and her one is still a 13. Yay. So she gets up and she plays, and pretty good night. Bats at one point makes his way over, talks to all of you, puts his hands on, touches your shoulder, you know, reaches out to you all in a specific way to you. So, of course, ask Jenna, how are your mom and your father? Are they doing good? You've been home. And says, "Penny, it's good to see you. You should stop up and chat to me when you get a chance." And says to Idris, "Oh, Idris, always good to see you." Talks a little bit how glad he is that you cleared up your tab, and tells you that a Galen is always welcome and to come back in, and sort of sweeps off. Anything else you'd like to do tonight? Now, I'm assuming you're all drinking fairly steadily throughout the night, right? With the exception of Jedabink and tea. Jedabink's worst issue is bladder load, correct?
Correct.
All right. For the rest of you, everybody, in this one, I actually want you to drop in the tower. Everybody else give me a Constitution save. Very good. Okay. Um, Idris, I need you to begin to role play being pretty severely inebriated. Not hammered, but really, really, really having a good time. All right. Penny, alcohol is really nice and it's fun. All right. And you need to take that into your heart. Delbert, you've been nursing your drinks. All right. Um, Penny, would you go ahead and make an influence check also into the tower, please?
Just anything.
Yeah, go ahead and make a persuasion check. I'm sorry. All right. Everybody, give me a perception check into the tower. Okay. Um, Idris.
Yep.
All right. Um, Coming to the end of the night. Um, Penny and Idris are pretty lit. Um, Jenna Bink, doing fine. Delbert's been drinking, but it hasn't overtaken him. So, what would you like to? What would you like to do?
Well, I'm currently flexing my hand on my amazing, beautiful weapon after watching Alwyn and Delbert, getting a good grip on it consistently, practicing popping it in and out of the sheath as I drink.
All
Je-
right.
Jenna, why aren't you drinking? You're no fun when you don't drink. You just sit there and you're taking notes and stuff, and it's really a buzzkill. Can you at least have one drink?
Uh, how would you know that I'm fun when I drink? I never drink. I literally have not had alcohol in several years. I did try that once upon a time. It was an interesting experiment, but not one that I would like to repeat.
Well, I guess it was an
So,
assumption
but
because
you,
if you're not fun when you're not drinking, then it has to be the opposite.
I have observed some very angry drunk people on occasion. So I would have to say that your data is flawed.
The night's rolling through. You guys are seeing, probably about 60 people come into the bar tonight. And you guys, of course, are going to settle up your tab. Alwyn covers most of it for you, but, reaches a point probably about midnight where she's no longer covering the tab. And she made clear to you tonight that that was, what she was going to do for you. Um, Jenna, Idris attempts, uh, knocks over your drink as he's attempting, you think, to place alcohol within it. And he's attempting to be real subtle, but he's pretty hammered. And he backhands kind of the drink and spills what he's trying to spike it with in terms of a shot all over the table directly in front of you.
There's no use in crying over spilled milk. You might as well get on the train with the rest of us.
Okay, the important question is, did he hit my notebook? Or was I able to, do I need a dex save to save my notes?
You will need a dex save. It's a low DC, though, because you've been watching these guys.
Roll one. Roll one.
I'm going to use hero points for this. Where are my hero? I'm going to roll my d6 for the hero point. I must save my notes.
Roll one.
Would you like to use inspiration also?
Do I need to? I mean,
we don't need notes of what happened.
Do you want to use inspiration? Final answer.
He's getting you to use
yes,
inspiration
I
now.
will.
Wow.
I will
You're using inspiration and hero points?
Burn.
Yeah, you can.
I'm doing it.
It's the
There
correct.
are certain things that there are certain things that are important to me.
The second roll was much more useful.
Ah.
So, it was only DC of 10, but yeah, he backhands a drink, and you scoop up your notebook and give him the evil eye. So,
Just what are you doing?
You need to become part of this group and bond with the rest of us. 2 of us are getting the bonding on, and 2 of you aren't. One of you's not even drinking the alcohols. We can't be having a party unless we're a party. You got to get with it.
You know what? That's a very good point. And I walk over to where Delbert is.
That's right. That's right. Walk away. The cool people with their ability to use their hands stealthily will be over here. And the big brain table will be over there.
You know, Idris, you're so right.
That's right, friend. We're getting the drink on.
Delbert, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I need you to save me.
there is suddenly a swarm of waitresses cleaning up the table, taking care of stuff, and setting down some teapot of really strong tea in front of folks.
That's weak tea, not strong tea. Weak tea. This is the strong tea.
Okay.
Jenna Bink will not be drinking the rest of the evening from this point.
All right. Absolutely understandable.
Don't you worry. We're on a mission from Hirsch. We will get it done.
So are we going to drink ourselves into a stupor, or are we going to shut down, and what time do we want to shut down?
Well, Jenna's officially buzzkilled tonight, so I'm probably going to shut down right around now. She's through. She's pouting over next to Dill.
So,
Pouting.
Gonna make your way home, I guess.
I mean, home is where the heart is. So
Are you
we'll be
guys staying
here.
Are you staying at the
So you
comeback
have
inn?
no home because you have no heart.
All right. So Matt's staying at the comeback inn. Idris, you staying at the comeback inn?
No, I'm going to go back to my apartment.
All right, back to your apartment. Delbert, you're going home. Jenna, you're going home, right?
No,
Yeah.
Jenna's staying at the comeback inn.
She's staying at the comeback inn. All right. So everybody stays
Yes.
at the comeback inn except Delbert and Idris, who go back to their personal homes, correct?
Yep.
All right. So,
I will, of course, make sure that nobody spikes her drink for the rest of the night.
all right. You think Alwyn's paying attention to the same thing until she, she's like, all right, I'm going home. That's all there is to it. She's like, I'm going to go up to my room. And so she goes up to her room and she gives you all a hug, puts her hand on all your shoulders and, goes upstairs. So, it's nighttime. You guys crash. We are into the next day. All right. Folks, wake up, do their respective things. We have Idris is incredibly hungover. Penny mildly hungover. The rest of you are fine and okay. And all right, what is the plan, folks? What would you like to do?
I think we're owed 200 big ones from somebody, right?
We are. I would go down to breakfast. Yeah. So we need to go to. I have notes on this. Hold on. Hold on. I'm reading. Um, he said, "Oh, there we go. Tuthak's moneylender house, and we are each owed 200 gold right now." You see, you could have destroyed my notes, Idris, and then we would have never known where to go.
Oh,
My
I know
God!
where all the money is in this city, honey. All the
Jenna,
money.
can you please stop yelling? It's too early for this. Oh my God! Listen, I need like a cup of coffee and some eggs, maybe some vinegar, and then you can start yelling as much as you want. But until then, just if you could keep it at like a 3.
All right, you guys and Delbert, I assume you're having breakfast with your family. Idris came here after um, he woke up, correct?
Yes.
All right. So Blackie comes rolling in and comes and finds Penny and sits down next to Penny. And let's see, checking to see how this is set up. All right.
Oh, this morning just keeps getting better. What do you want, Ugly? I mean, Blackie, whatever your name is.
And he shifts over to the cry, and he says, "All right, somebody put a hit out on you."
Ha ha ha! Real funny, man. It's too early for these kind of jokes. I got stuff to do today.
No, no, no. We ended up taking care of it, but there was somebody going around trying to hire some muscle. And anyhow, we took care of him. But this was happening in about, I'd say, 2 weeks before you got back. And brothers of the Greenwood, we take care of each other, so we just took care of that for you. But you just so you know, somebody put a hit out on you. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't know, it's probably for your buddies too, but we don't pay any attention to that. We're just taking care of you. All right.
Who would want? Who was it? Did you guys even like talk to these people?
You know, it the guy who was doing the hiring, all right, got his information from a dead drop that he's been going to off and on. We don't totally necessarily trust him, I got to tell you. We about had it with these folks, but we're working on it. All right. I'm thinking, all right, only thing I got, only thing I got is so when he went to make contact, the guy looked at him and his eyes flashed blue for a little bit, right? So, anyhow, I'm going to lay this out for you piece by piece so you're clear. The boss thinks it might have been the coot, just saying. And we don't have a ton of information because the guy never made full contact. But anyhow, that's what we think's going on.
How
My,
would the how would the coot even know I'm up here? It doesn't make any sense, man. You got to be thinking things wrong.
maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't totally get it enough, and I just was told to bring you the pieces that I got, and the pieces don't make sense to me, as you can tell. So,
Well, as usual, you've been real helpful, man. I always appreciate your insight. Next time, maybe they could send the quiet one.
hmm. All right, we can do that if you want. I'm always glad to see you. And, you know, things has gotten weird, just so you know. All right? We got peoples who've been disappearing. We got folk who ain't behaving the way they used to. And Svel's getting a little nervous. I'm just saying. So, watch your back, okay? Things are
Yeah, I
just
always do, man. I always do.
all right. Wise ass comments aside, you know what I mean? Uh, you know, you got the man's eyes on you, so he's taking care of you too, even though he gives you shit. All right, I'm gonna leave you be. All right, and they're going back and forth to Decry. Does anybody speak to Cry here besides him? Besides Penny? All right, so they sit down and they're going back and forth, pretty rapid fire and staccato. If you want to make an insight check, you can.
I'm going to use my drunken powers to pay attention.
All right. You're hungover this morning. I'm about to take that off you guys. And wow. Okay. The two of them are being decry and they're going back and forth with each other, but nobody seems to be, they seem to be being being decried more than anything else is the best way to describe it. A little bit agitated with each other, a little bit sharp with each other, but you've seen that behavior before. All right. Okay, folks. So go get our money, and then what do we do?
We're going to get that dungeon. We're going to get more money. That's what we do.
All right, very good.
Well, I thought I had an appointment to go see someone about observing cats.
And I have a tea appointment.
Very good.
Oh yeah, Delbert's got his date.
I heard it was Delbert's mom. She's got it going on. Yeah.
I think there's a song about that or something.
Have you been reading my notes again?
No.
Delbert, so you have breakfast with your family, and your brother is not present with his family. They are, have things that they're doing today, so they are out of the house. It's your mom and your dad and your sister, and they have a pretty, they have a quick breakfast with you. Your mom and dad are talking about, your mom and dad are talking about some issues related to commerce. Your father's a little bit bothered by some proposed regulation that's being pushed back and forth by the Regency Council in terms of protecting against secure monopolies for specific trade treaties. That's something that he's been working against. He really wants to lock down the caravan commissions with dwarven mines. And he's been making a pretty good case for that. He's always had rock-solid relationships with the dwarves. So they talk a little bit about that. Your sister is very quiet, very reserved. And your mom and dad get up and they go. And Megan looks at you and says, "So what are we doing, Delbert? What am I going to do?"
We have a guest coming for tea.
We have a guest? Who's coming?
A friend.
A friend. Okay. She is okay. Is it going to be a good surprise or a bad surprise?
Probably a bad surprise for Mom. And I'll give her a little wink.
And she smiles and she goes, "You didn't get the Cabal, did you?"
No. This is somebody who who's going to help.
That'll be really, really good. I'm so afraid. I don't know what I'm going to do if... I know the Cabal's done good things, and I know the Cabal's been good to you, but the stories of what happens to sorcerers is just scary, and I mean, I want to stay in the house. I want to grow up and I want to find the best thing to do to help the family. And I thought I was going to get to learn how to sell things and make things and, and I just don't want to. And she just puts her head down and she goes, "This is hard, Delbert. Who I am is not who I thought I was, and I'm so scared."
It's going to be okay.
Well, she sits talking to you, and your butler comes whipping in. So, and Ebenezer is always quick, always gracious, or always present, and of course he has let you left you alone. This room is secured. They always knock on the door before they come in. You do note that it looks like there's a new bright shiny bell sitting on the table. It doesn't look like it was the same bell. The old bell had a couple of small nicks out of it, but there's a brand new silver bell sitting there. So, and Ebenezer brings in Alwyn Morwen, and Alwyn Morwen um, smiles and says, Megan, it is so good to see you. And Megan's face lights up because this would be, you know, kind of like having, Beyonce walk in. All right. I mean, Alwyn is arguably one of the most famous, if not the most famous, bards in all of Blackmoor. All right. And Alwyn walks in, lights up at a smile, and sits down at the table. And she just makes herself comfortable, touches Megan on the hand, and says, So, Delbert, I'm sorry I interrupted. Thank you so much for letting the household staff know that I would be here. They brought me straight in. Your mother was pleased to see me. She received me, and she said, "Let Delbert know to ring for me if he would like to have me present."
Okay.
So, I think I think likes to organize who comes into the house and when. Eh? So, Megan, Delbert, what were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about you and your visit.
Really? So, Megan, do you know how bardic music and magic works? Do you know? And Megan goes, No, I don't. She goes, Okay, I'm going to do a scale, do a scale. And Owen executes a scale. And Megan, in this sweet, powerful alto, all right, just a really strong female voice, does the scale with her. And she goes, Oh, that's so good, Megan. She goes, All right, Megan, I want you to try and repeat something after me. And then she does a little rhythm, all right? And Delbert, there's something odd about it. And Megan does it also. And Megan goes, Oh, oh, I almost saw something. She goes, Yes, yes. So if you can see it, if you can say it, and you touch the weave, you touch it through the music and sound, and you've got the gift in your heart, you can do wonderful things. What do you think about that? And Megan looks over at Delbert and she goes, Okay, Delbert, what do you think?
I think that you should listen to Lady Alwyn here. After all, she is my new girlfriend, and I'll give her a wink.
And Megan's like, You're going to marry Alwyn Moreland? Oh my God, I can't wait till I tell Agatha. She's not going to believe it. And she's like, Alwyn, are you going to be hanging? And so she just total fangirls for about 3 minutes in the way only an 11-year-old, 10 or 11-year-old girl can. All right. Just goes. And of course, she's been fairly sheltered. And Alwyn says, I saw a harp in your mother's drawing room. Megan, do you know how to play the harp? And she goes, I played it. I understand it. I've gotten basic training. She says, let's go play the harp. And so she walks back through Galen's Manor with you, and I'm going to throw the map up real quick for everybody. All right. She walks back through Galen Manor with you and into your mother's drawing room. And in your mother's drawing room, there is a harp, and the three of you sit down. And one of the maids comes in, checks to see if you need anything. And Owen begins to coach Megan a little bit. And, Megan plays and plays and plays and plays, and she's okay. She's all right. She's like, well, she's just listening. And so this goes on for a little bit. And she says, All right, dear, I want you to sit down and talk to us real quick. And she twists her ring a little bit and she plays with her wing. And, she's sitting on the sofa. And, Delbert sitting, next to her in the chair. And she has Megan sit down next to her. And she goes, Megan, I have a question for you. And Megan says, What, Alwyn? She goes, Have you ever had something happen that you didn't expect that scared you? And Megan goes, I'm not supposed to talk about it. And she goes, It's okay. You can tell me. And Megan looks over at Delbert and she's like, and Delbert goes, yeah, yeah, sometimes when I want people to do stuff and I get frustrated, I can make them do it and they like me. And if I get really mad, I can sometimes. And she goes over and she whispers, and she whispers in Alwyn's ear, I can make fire. And Alwyn goes, well, we may end up unwinding some of that, but what if I told you that the same thing in your heart that lets you touch that raw magic, I can show you how to house and I can show you how to spin it into music, and you can make music through magic. What do you think of that? And Megan goes, do you think I'd be a good bard? Do you think Mommy and Daddy'd let me be a bard? And she goes, well, you would go to the University of Blackmoor. It is formal training. Is that something you'd want to do? And she goes, if it will protect me from hurting people I love, I will want to do that because I don't want to burn things down and hurt people like the sorcerers do. And Alwyn, she says, Megan, baby, some sorcerers are evil because of how they've been treated, and it's been in the bitterness in their heart. And I've met some sorcerers among the Peshwa, among the Western, who are just people. And she looks at her and she looks over at Delbert and she goes, Delbert, the Cabal says all sorcerers are evil and they want to hurt us. Is that true?
It's complicated.
Adults say that when they don't know either. And she looks down and she looks over at Alwyn and she says, Alwyn, my mama and my daddy have said that most the sorcerers want to hurt us and that the Cabal was formed because the sorcerers attacked and tried to destroy Blackmoor. And I read the history books about it, so that's what I believe. And Alwyn says, all right, dear, I understand. I just want you to keep your mind and your heart open. There are many, many, many things in this world that you have not seen yet. But what I will show you is how to take that raw, untapped, powerful magic that's burning inside of you and you can't control and harness it through music and song. We will take it and turn it into word and give you a different voice. How do you feel about that? And Megan says, thank you so much, Alwyn. I was so scared. And then she grabs Delbert around the shoulders and she starts to cry a little bit. And she's like, oh, thank you, Delbert. I was so scared. And she tries to get control of herself and she just starts to cry and hang on to you. So, Delbert, what are you doing?
Oh, I'll hug her back.
Okay.
And at this point, since it's been established, I'll ring the bell and have Mom come in.
One of the maids whips in and she says, yes, sir?
Can you ask my mother to come in?
Oh, absolutely, sir. I will go get her right now.
Thank you.
And she whips out and she goes and she gets Frida. And Frida comes in and she goes, Alwyn, it's such a pleasure always to see you. And Alwyn bows and, says, I feel that I stand in grace that the Galen household is so open to me, and I appreciate your hospitality at all times. And they do, quick stroke, counter stroke of form and etiquette. And your mother sits down and says, so I hope I'm not interrupting anything. I'm so glad that you brought me here. Delbert, you rang.
Mother, Megan is going to be studying to become a bard.
A bard? And why do we believe this is the best course of action?
I have my reasons.
She says, I think some things need to be spoken of in jail. Don't you? And she
If you would prefer.
shifts to Chael, and she says, "Would this have anything to do with the fight she got in at school, or the char marks I found in the Mary found in the fireplace?"
It would indeed.
Well, Delbert, I have had my suspicions. And Megan is just horrified sitting there. And Alwyn apparently doesn't speak Chael. And she's just being very reserved. If she does, she's holding her cards close to her chest. And she says, she looks directly at Megan. Megan, you will tell me right now what is going on. And Megan goes, Mother, some things it's best that you don't know. And your mother is aghast. She looks at her and says, My dear, are you refusing to answer me directly? She goes, Mama, I don't want to hurt you. I'm going to learn how to sing, Mama. I'm going to learn my true voice. And your mother looks at her, and she goes, All right, dear. And Megan is very, very, very cute. And she says, Mother, you have always talked to us about discretion, have you not? And her mother, Frida, says, Well, yes, discretion is part of being a lady and a Galen. She goes, Mother, I think it's discreet and appropriate for me to only show you the end of the journey and not all of the first steps, so you can be proud of what I achieve and not how I fall. And Frida puts her hand over her mouth and says, Megan, you have made your case artfully, and I can see that the time we spent teaching you elocution is appropriate, but you must promise me this. And Megan goes, What, Mama? She says, You must promise me that if you become a jeopardy to yourself or to others or to the state or feel yourself compromised or changing in any way you are not comfortable with that would not make you a Galen, you will come to me and ask for my assistance, and you will do the same with your brother Delbert. Do you accept this? And Megan goes, Yes. And she goes, Now, dear, I am discreet, and I appreciate what you have placed before us, but what do you think is the core of your father's relationship with me? And Megan goes, Love, Mama? And she goes, Yes, we all love each other and we take care of each other, but the core of any love, what love is built on, is trust. And this is the sort of thing that I cannot hold from your father. I must share some elements of it with him. And Megan goes, I understand. Now, your father will ask you questions, and you must respond. But I want you to know that you are a Galen and loved. And I think you will be a wonderful, wonderful bard. And then she looks at Alwyn. She goes, Alwyn, perhaps I could offer you some tea. And Megan just sort of slumps and goes, and Frida rings the bell, and she asks Mary to bring her tea, and Mary sweeps away. And she looks over at Delbert, and she raises her eyebrow, and she says, You, my son, are a blessing in many, many ways I had never anticipated. And she squeezes your hand. Tea is brought, pastry is brought, and Frida and Alwyn fence in the way only two people who dance in the realm of the upper class and politics can, as Frida pushes to understand what Alwyn's been doing, where she's been traveling, who she's been speaking to, and Alwyn counterprobes to understand what the Galen family is doing. And as you watch the dance, you realize neither one of them is really going to learn anything. Delbert, is there anything you'd like to inject into the conversation?
I think I've injected enough into this conversation. Anything I do at this point would only jeopardize the what has been accomplished here. So I'm going to remain wisely silent.
Very good. Well, folks, what I think we're going to do is let's see, it is 4:41 local time right now. At about 4:50, 4:51, we will be getting back together to finish up our stream together today. And thank you so much for being part of Blackmoor with us today. And we will see you in about 10. Thank you so much.
Hydra.
Hey, folks, we are back. Thumbs up from chat if you can hear us. All right. So, folks, we have an afternoon to work with. Let's see, who would like to do what? And I take it the goal here, and we're having a character discussion, is to, in the next week, next 2 days, 3 days, how long, tomorrow, be back in the dungeons. I mean, what's the goal here?
Well, Jenna Bink needs to do some Tinker Toy shopping, and she also was promised a visit to a guy with cats.
All right.
And he just wants to get paid.
All right.
Penny just got paid. We got the pay this morning, so Penny's done.
Get paid every month. The wheel turns, more money shows up.
I'm not sitting here for a month.
That's why we should go in the dungeon. You get 2 months for the price of 7 hours. We could go
We can
back
go-
in time and get even more money because we know we're going to get paid doubly when we come out the other side. Boom. Oh, wait, hang on. Boom, guys. That's the mind of a great thinker.
Idris, where are you today?
I'm still drunk, wandering the streets looking for rations and rat poison because I have a score to settle when I go back down there.
All right. Go ahead and rat poison is basic poison.
I want the good stuff.
The good stuff?
Yeah, not that name brand. I want the stuff that the nobles use that everybody else doesn't use. I want the good top shelf rat poison.
Well, that requires some pretty specialized contacts. I mean, you can go buy basic poison, rat poison, and
I'll talk to Penny.
Penny? All right.
Yeah, she knows people.
All right. So you're going to talk to Penny about getting better poison, right?
Yep. That's what I'm going to do. I'm like, I need you to get me something tasteless, odorless that we can put into these 30 rations and use the next time we deal with those rats.
Why do you think I know anything about poison, man? Just because I deal with some peoples, you know?
No, it's your eye patch and your one shady eye.
Well, that's pretty horrible for you to say that. All right, very insensitive of you as usual.
But correct.
Nah, I mean,
So-
I feel less inclined to want to help you and maybe introduce you to somebody that will kill you because you're being a dick.
Well, I mean, if you find one of your contacts who is actually helpful, maybe helpy instead of blacky, or drags their feety or something like that, that would be helpful.
So, I mean,
Um,
Penny, we need to go back and see that friend of yours that promised to take me to the cats anyway. And I'm going to be smarter this time and leave most of my gold here. Yes.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. And then don't start with saying that you'll pay him monies, because then they won't, that kind of thing.
I already paid the money, so I shouldn't have to pay more monies.
You might have to pay more monies.
I will try very hard not to pay monies.
Okay.
You should do a study on that.
Ooh. I don't really like economics. It's not nearly as fun as arcane science.
Oh, but it's just as magical.
We can go back to my buddy Donnie.
All right. So the plan is then Idris is going to touch his base with Penny, and Penny says, in effect, no. Is that correct, Penny?
Well, I mean, I'll lead him to somebody that probably make a lot of money off of him and give me a favor, but he's being kind of a dick, so maybe I'll tell him to hike up the price a little bit, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say this out loud, of course.
I understand. So are we just all going to go directly to Down at the Red then? Is that what we're going to do?
Did we get the 200 gold from...
Yes. If you want to role play through that, we can, but you are delivered 200 gold coins in a denomination form that you want. All right? They'll give it to you in platform or platinum. They'll give it to you. Yeah, they'll give it to you in platinum if you want. They'll give it to you in 10 gold piece gems. So, if you choose that, so most likely, really well-shaped quartz. So they'll give it to you in whatever form you want. And what I will do here, for sake of splitting it up, is I'm going to go into inventory, and I am going to drop 800 gold pieces, and I am going to drop it. All right. There you go.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll take him to my buddy Donnie.
All right. So you guys go rolling into Donnie's Barrel Maker shop. All right. And Donnie's like, Petty, be God, what is this?
I know, back-to-back days. It's like I haven't seen you in 2 months. Yeah, Donnie, my friend here, she was inquiring about when she's gonna get to meet the thing with the people and the cats and stuff. And then this other associate of mine who is real close and deserves a very fair and equitable price was looking to purchase something from you.
To the cry. Hey, what's the sign of, excuse me. Gotta get my Irish accent. Be God, what's the sign above me door say? Does the sign above me door say, bring Hythonians in here so I draw the attention of the local constabulary and they bust my ass? Why the fuck are you bringing one of these guys in here?
Listen, he wanted to get something under the table. I thought maybe you were the guy for it. If not, I'll introduce him to somebody else, Well,
Well, all right, you and I got that sort of relationship, so
listen. He's a Regan, bro. They basically shit money. If you don't want this kind of opportunity, then I'll send him somewhere else. But I figured, you could swindle this guy for whatever you wanted. You don't even have to give him the real product.
you can make a persuasion check with advantage. Because you hit Donner's button. All right. All right, so... All right. Oh, be God, Penny. So, I hear what you're saying. You don't mind if I be fleecing this lad and you're bringing me a business opportunity, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I figured you could make some money here.
Well, what's he want, for God's sakes?
Man, he's really mad at some like rat people things. I think he wants to buy some poison and to try and kill him. You sell him whatever you want. He's not a real smart guy, so it doesn't really matter what you sell him. You know what I mean?
All right. So, switches immediately back to Tony. Idris, my friend here, Petty, tells me that you're looking for, some sort of toxic material. And what makes you think a good law-abiding barrelman like myself might be having things like that?
Well, sir, I did not believe you had these things. Penny is the one who brought me here. She's the one who has such low opinions of you. I do not. I simply wish to do business like any good businessman, and I have a rat problem that I need to get taken care of.
So I can understand it as you're reaching out to me as a fellow businessman to help you with your environment problem. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. And I need something that's much stronger. These are much larger rats. They're 2-3 feet long. Some of them are even the size of one of these gnomes over here. And I point to Jenna. Quite large, quite annoyed. I need something that's odorless.
They're
and
rodents of
tasteless.
very unusual size.
Yes, they are.
You may have
They
your
have
inspiration
wronged-
back for the Princess Bride joke.
And they have wronged us, but more specifically, Penny and Jenna, who ran fleeing in terror from them. I do this for their own safety, because I don't know if I can keep this group together when if we encounter such creatures before. It was a sight to see. No one would have ever believed that Penny would have run off like that, scared. You should have seen it. I can act it out right here for you if you'd like.
Hey, God, I think that's something I could be seeing, if you know what I'm saying. You're going to perform for me the act of Pity, the most badass little girl I ever met, running away from freaking vermin. Is that what you're going to do?
That's correct, sir. It was quite a scene.
So, give the DM a perform check as you go into total mimicry mode. Okay, Penny, Jenna Bink, he mimics your voice in perfect and exquisite ways, all right? And he does the two different versions of you running away, which is Jenna Bink being lean and efficient, head down, running like crazy, and Penny looking over her shoulder, hopping, looking back with her bow, hopping over her shoulder, looking back with the bow, then putting her head down and taking off. He simulates your body language. He does it perfectly. It's exquisite. All right. And Donner starts laughing his ass off. As a matter of fact, the other guys in the shop out there, all right, stop and look at this, and they start laughing their ass off. All right. And he was like, oh, Tom. Okay. All right. So
In Dokre, as I said, Donnie, way up, man, way up. This guy, real special character.
so he just touched me in a special way. I'll see what I can be doing for him. Come on, let's step into the back room. And he steps into his little back office that's got a table on it, and he goes, so what exactly are we looking for?
As I said earlier, I'm looking for odorless and tasteless. They're very interested in the food we brought before, and that's the best way I feel to deliver this into their systems.
Well, that's some pretty heavy-hitting stuff, and this is Blackmoor City. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that quick for you. I got to reach out to my contracts. Might take me a week or two to shake that down. Now, if you want me to, though, if you're just looking for some basic rat poison, I can get that put together for you fairly quickly. As a matter of fact, I got some on chef. Now, it's not odorless, it's not tasteless, but the rats will eat that stuff up.
No, they're smart. Smarter than you would think. And I need to make sure the job gets done. And if you do this for me, you won't have my thanks. You'll have the thanks of House Regan. And potentially access to our markets to move your goods.
All right, so here's...
No. This is an opportunity you do not want to miss. People like you are hard to find. And when we find you, we make good use of you.
Give me a persuasion check, please. All right, so I'm willing to deal with you a little bit here. I think we need to get our relationship built. So the first thing you got to understand is, there's work I have to be doing and money I have to throw out there to grease, and I'm not going to operate at a loss. I don't know you that well. So if you drop 20 gold pieces on the table here, we'll consider that a deposit on what you got. And it reflects sort of a deal between you and I will use that money to grease the wheels I need to get folks to talk to me about specifically what you're working for. I don't normally deal in items like this. What I'm good at doing is if you got something that you need to have moved to someplace else, I'll take care of it for you. Now, so you're clear. You're walking through my door is going to be noticed. You're better off sending Penny. And Penny and I'll work through things ourselves. All right? But what I'll do for you is if you give me 20 gold pieces to start the work, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to put the feelers out for you, and I'm going to see if I can come up with the toxins you're looking for. Because that's a risk for me. All right? Taking something, melting it down and reselling it, or sealing something inside of a barrel and dropping it in a wagon going out of town, that's the sort of stuff that I can handle.
Think of this as an opportunity to expand your mind and your linings of your pockets.
Oh, I absolutely believe you. Can you count to 20, please? I prefer gold coins. I will be weighing them.
I'm going to roll an insight on his pricing.
Okay, go ahead. You're not quite certain what the bar entry would be here. This isn't exactly your area of expertise. Without a doubt, he is being really direct with you, and he doesn't feel flexible at all. You don't see any real handholds to be able to move him off where he's standing. This may be some sort of test.
Gotcha. All right, I will put down the 20. And also, before I release it, say, I don't use individuals in between like Penny. If I don't understand the language, I don't use them. But I am willing to send my instructions via another individual who is less flashy than myself. I have need of moving small items in and out without being detected.
All right. So here's what we'll be doing then. All right. If you want to meet with me face to face to anchor the commerce, I'm more than willing to do that. We're going to have to do things outside of business for the most part because I make fucking barrels. Now, you can come in here every once in a while, and there could be a good business reason for, a Regan to walk in here and talk to me, the barrel maker. But in general, folks got eyes on you nobles. They do it all the time. So I've made my living off of keeping my head down and not being tied up with it. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take your 20 gold coins. I'm going to go reach out to my network. I'm going to see if I can find out what you want. And we'll go from there. All right? This is not going to be a quick window. All right, it's going to take me some time to pull this one together. All right, and he takes his hand and he spits in it and he goes, "I find you the goods. We talk about what's next."
I hawk up a really, really big one and into the hand and shake it and do the pump. Of
All
course,
right.
sir. Oh, and I hear you make barrels. I'm partial to the drink, so maybe that might be a way to move things back and forth.
Oh, that's never happened before. I think that's a brilliant idea, sir.
You're welcome.
So, all right, and he's like, and he looks at Jenabink. Jenabink, make a quick insight check. He's like, you see it form in his eyes as he looks at you. Oh, fuck, the cats. And what would I be doing for you today? It's always good to
Uh,
see.
you and I spoke before, and you told me that you would be getting me access to a gentleman that raises wild cats so I can have time to research them for my own purposes. I gave you gold
Oh,
and
yeah.
silver.
I sent a runner. I dispatched him out to him, and he hasn't been back yet to give me a yes or no. But I'll definitely be letting you know as soon as that happens.
I would like to insight check whether he actually dispatched a runner. Did he send 5 ships?
um, he probably didn't.
I am new to this kind of negotiation. I normally do not deal in economics as much as I deal in arcane science. But I would like to make the point that I did provide you with funds. And while I may not be able to make your life miserable, I like to think I could at least make your life slightly inconvenient. So I would appreciate if you would do me the simple favor of not lying to me. Thank you.
Into cry to Penny. You brought me a live one, didn't you, Penny? All right. Okay. This is, all right. And he turns back and he says, all right, Jennifer, here's the deal. I'm a busy man. I ain't got to it yet, but I'll get to it for you. We did spit and swear in exchange on it, so I'm going to make it happen. I just haven't been able to tie it down yet. The folk that I'm sending you to lives outside of town. He's a bit crazy, all right? And I've had a little bit of trouble getting somebody willing to go out and talk to the man. But I'm going to make certain that it happens. And if I can't make it happen, I'll give you back at least half of what you gave me. Because I do have to make an investment in, of me time.
You will give back precisely 3/4 of what I gave you. And if I can walk into the local insane asylum and speak to someone that has been possessed by the coot, you damn well can find someone to go talk to somebody that has cats.
Would you like to make intimidation or diplomacy as a roll there, or
Um,
persuasion?
I'll go with intimidation because it's the same, and yes.
And I will actually give you an
I,
advantage on this die. Go ahead.
okay, I will roll it
Because,
again, and I will also use a hero point because reasons. When we die in the dungeon because I used all my hero points, then you can blame me.
okay, I will.
Oh, mine are already gone.
He
That just
looks
means
at
that
and
Tad
he's
needs to give us a level.
all right, all right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 3/4 back if I can't get this done, and you'll be staying here at the come back in. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, good. And make a quick intelligence check. Why the fuck does he know you're staying at the comeback inn? What I'll be doing is I'll send you, notification when I got it, which had been me intention all along.
That sounds acceptable. Do you have a possible time frame so I could log it on my in my notes?
Oh, let's see. But I should know for certain by noon bell in 2 days if I'm going to be able to get this done. I reached out to some of my contacts are outside of town to see if they'd be willing to take a run over. So we'll see if that happens.
That sounds acceptable. Thank you.
All right, what are we doing, folks?
As we leave the shop, I am going to start talking to Penny as we walk.
All right, go ahead.
Penny, I noticed that Donner knew where I was staying. Do you know why he knows where I'm staying? It seems like bad OPSEC.
I mean, I feel like that would be good business practice to know where somebody you're currently doing business with is staying. So probably that's why.
But wouldn't you, if you were intelligent like me, and I know that's a stretch, but wouldn't you, wow, I've been around Idris way too long, wouldn't you think that, possibly I, having family in the area, I would be staying at my family house? So why would he know specifically that I'm staying at the Comeback Inn?
I don't know. He probably knows people and knows things. Why does this bother you so much?
Did you tell him?
Why would I tell him where you're staying?
I don't know. I got Idris trying to put things in my drink. I mean, for all I know, he's buying the damn rat poison to put in my drinks.
I would never poison you like that. I need your staple gun.
I'm actually working on super glue, but thank you.
You're welcome. But see, again, experience has taught you more than research.
Experience is research.
Then I was right all along.
Yeah, I don't know why he's staying, like, knowing where you're staying at. If it bothers you, I mean, you can talk to him about it, but I would just assume anybody that you do business with in this kind of dealings is gonna know where you're gonna be at in case they need to find you.
All right,
Okay.
I need the three of you to drop perception checks, please.
Oh, we'll drop them.
See perception.
Outstanding. Jenna, as you are going down the street, you see that there's this guy. He was waiting outside the barrel making shop when you walked out, and he had actually been following you before. And as you're looking at him, you see a necklace that sort of swings out from underneath his shirt, and it's a big old gemstone, red. All right, deep, deep sort of emerald. All right, and he is clearly following you guys. You think maybe go ahead and make an Arcana check. Oh yeah, he's a Cabalist, no doubt about it. You just recognized that focus of his probably means that he does big old boom kind of spells. All right, so he's a fireball kind of caster, that sort of stuff, evocation, and he is clearly following y'all.
I try to, in the most subtle way that Jenabink can, elbow Penny a little bit. Penny, what is your opinion of, tall humans with, kind of blondish hair? Do any of those kind of people like appeal to you?
I'm not a real big fan of the human types in general. I think for the most part they're all just, either Cabalists or they try to like put people in slavery that are smaller than them. That's my experience with them. Why you got a particular fondness for them?
Oh, and she starts doing the head twitch thing behind her. I mean, sometimes I don't know that I like them following me around and stalking me and that kind of thing.
Well, Delbert's not here.
Is somebody stalking you, Jenna? You got something wrong with your neck? Did something break?
All right, go ahead and make a deception check with disadvantage there, Jenna.
I can't imagine why it's with disadvantage.
Okay. You actually don't do too bad, and that is not a red emerald; it's a red ruby. Thank you very much. All right, so okay, um, good enough. What would you all like to do?
Do I get another perception with that?
Go right ahead. If he's there, he's moving in and out of the crowd. All right, you have not made who she spotted.
I'm going to turn into the next alley that there is.
All right.
What's
Hey, Penny, I think there's like I think the tinker shop that I want to shop at is down this alley.
Idris is with you guys, right?
Yes.
All right.
But I've been walking next to Penny.
Okay.
I don't go into alleys. I don't go in there. The little people might, not me. Look at these threads. No. I'll wait here. Or actually, I'll meet you at Delbert's.
All right.
After I walk into the alley and make sure that Penny at least follows me, I'm going to turn around and watch for the guy and like point to him if he walks past the alley.
Penny is also hesitant about actually going into this alley with you. What? Why do you want me to go in some alley? This is a little weird now. Now you're getting a little much, if you know what I mean.
Perception check, Jenna. And you can make it with advantage because you know what he looks like. Yeah, you don't with advantage. That's a good thing. You are absolutely certain if he was still rolling up on you, he would have. All right. You are waiting. You're looking for him, and if he moved back in front of the mouth of the place, he would have. Now, as you're thinking about it, you hiked into the alley. Idris stood there and said, "I'm not going in there, no way at all." All right, and Penny kind of hung up and looked at you a little weird, so you may have spooked him off.
Okay, look, Penny. There's this guy. He's been following. He was just following us after we left your friend Donner's shop. I think he's some kind of evoker. He had that's people that make boom magic, by the way. That's what an evoker is. But he had a focus that wizards have, and he was following me, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to like point out, make attention, but I'm really bad at that, and so I tried to go in the alley because I thought that's what you would do, but clearly that's not what you would do, so I don't know what to do anymore.
Wait a minute. So you thought there was a person who makes big explosion magic following us, and the best course of action was to take us away from a crowd of people that he's not going to want to use big explosion magic around into an alleyway where we're all by ourselves.
When you put it that way, it does not exactly sound the smartest thing, but I deal with books and numbers and research. Arcane science does not have these kind of situations. This is a case study I've never studied.
Oh, okay, next time you can just say, "Hey, I think somebody's following us." He's not going to hear us if he's like 30 people back. He has no idea the words coming out your mouth.
I tried to in a subtle way and you didn't pick up on it. I'm sorry. Clearly you don't have any girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever you're into because you have absolutely no idea about what people think or are trying to say or any of that.
Well, I mean, I didn't really get what you were trying to say. You're saying, do I like tall Thonians that are into gyms and stuff?
I was trying to describe him without like, would you rather I have turned around and said that guy?
No, next time you can just say, "Hey, I think somebody's following us," and then you can describe the person to us. They're not going to hear us from like 40 feet away. Listen, Joe, I'm just trying to help you here. You obviously don't have a lot of street smarts, but I know you like those books.
No, next time, I'm just going to stop in the middle of the street. I'm going to set up a flippin' catapult. Fred makes catapults. He's really good at it. Done.
Jenny, you did a good thing.
Do we need to roll for initiative, folks? Are we good?
Cat fight. Cat fight.
So they're actually calling for it in the they're actually calling for it in chat right now. Initiative.
Oh my god.
It's the biggest battle of the littles.
So,
Oh,
all right,
ouch.
Idris, Penny, and Jenna are throwing down on each other, and it's a good throwdown. I mean, they really seem to be working through important stuff. And go ahead and make an insight check for me.
Okay, because I was about to start some bidding with the people in the streets.
All right. Oh my God. So Idris, it looks like Jenna is just embarrassed and being defensive because she's embarrassed, and it looks like Penny's really trying to help her. All right, but they're both getting heated, and you're standing there watching it.
I'm like, yeah, you should solve this problem not with words, but with actions. Actions.
All right, see, you got Idris being stupid now. So
Oh wait,
let's
they were talking about all that stuff in the alleyway?
Yeah,
Can I look again for
Yes.
that guy?
sure. No sign of him. No sign of him.
He's gone. You don't have to worry. He's not following us anymore. Now get to the fighting.
Now, there are people walking by going, because you've got a Decry with a real nasty slash along her face. You've got a very, very vocal gnome, all right? And then you've got Idris standing there going, nobody's following us. Let's go. So there you have, people might be noticing this.
People, the fight of the decade is here. We have, in one corner, the mouth that never stops. And in the other corner, the hands that never sleep. Coming together in a clash unlike any other. Here, in this very alleyway. Who would have ever suspected? All we need is just a few pieces
Perform
of
check,
silver
please.
to get this going.
Perform check, please.
As he starts doing that bit, I push him out of the way.
We got a ring of people starting to form, all right? Like, I got a silver on the Decry. So,
All right, Jenna, let's get out of here now.
I am
This is
pushing
starting to
my
get-
way out of the alley and making a beeline for whatever tinkerer shop has the supplies I need.
All
I'm
right.
following Jenna.
Let's make our purchases out of character, get that resolved. Delbert, is there anything you want to do? And are we all meeting at the comeback in tonight?
Yes.
All right.
Well, of course, I'm walking Arwen back to the comeback inn, assuming that's where she's staying.
Yes.
Oh, dude, what is the
And-
chance that Delbert passes the fight thing? What are the chances that he passes the alleyway at just the right time?
I would support that. So, Delbert, you're walking down the street, and give me a perception check.
Hang on, I got too many windows. There we go.
All right. Oh my God. Idris is doing a Thrilla in Manila kind of speech. All right. The one, the only. All right. So he's throwing down like he is,
No one has entered the match.
that's right. He is Chaucer from A Knight's Tale. You know what I'm saying? He's just hammering it. And you come down the street.
I can't even imagine what's going on.
Jetta comes stomping towards you with Penny and Penny right behind her, and Idris with this big old smile as he walks behind the two of them. Is that a fair assessment, folks?
Like,
Probably pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think Idris maybe should have been a bard, and I'll give her a look.
Oh, who says I haven't thought of it? With these pipes, of course.
All right. So we all make our way back to the comeback inn, do our shopping together, and then make our way to the comeback inn, right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So, when we get to the comeback inn, there are waiting for us some folks.
Gingers. Why did it have to be gingers?
And Fletcher stands up, walks towards you as you come into the bar, puts his hands on leans forward and goes, "We will be going downstairs to discuss things, if this works for you." And he walks up to the bar, and he secures a token, and he goes around the corner, and this redheaded half elf, who Delbert you recognize as Menger Torridin, who is in charge of the Inquisition, goes around the corner and downstairs. And then Delbert, you also recognize the Inquisitor Vincent Nostwick, who is active in Blackmoor, pursuing sorcerers and other folks. And he also goes and takes a token, goes around the bar, and heads downstairs. Insight check. Everybody, go ahead. All right. Fletcher seems focused on discretion. He doesn't seem upset. And you guys all have experience with Fletcher William. If you were at risk, he probably would have gotten you word ahead of time. That's, kind of where you're feeling in your hearts. So are you folks choosing to go downstairs?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Arwen, are you coming with us?
Alwyn is not present.
Alwen, yes.
Yeah, she's not present right now.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not present. She was, would she be in the bar right now? I didn't think about that. Hang on. Okay. Yep, I gave it a 50-50. Alwyn stands up and she leans over and says, "Well, you know who that was, don't you?"
I do.
There's no arcane warriors here. I've been here all day. If they were really, really concerned, they would have showed up at your family's house. All right? She's whispering in your ear. All right? So I don't think that's what it's about. And I haven't seen the folks that would be dragging somebody off in chains, if that makes any sense to you.
Understood.
She goes, "Fletcher didn't invite me down, so I'm not going to go." She says, "But if you're not up in an hour or two, I'll come see what's going on. How's that sound?"
Sounds great.
All right. And she steps over by Idris and she goes, "Kiss me."
No, I would never do that. I would never do that to Delbert.
And she steps back. So are we all going to go get the tokens, right? And head downstairs then? Okay. So, they deliver you the tokens. And you guys, each get one of them. And just, to remind you what they look like for the sake of doing it. They're the tokens. And you go downstairs into the basement. And Fletcher is sitting there. And Mengar is sitting there. And Inquisitor Vincent is sitting there. And take chairs.
Yep.
I am taking a chair as far away from the Inquisitor guy since I assume that I recognize him.
You know that there is a red-haired half-elven bigwig who's part of the Inquisition, who has a reputation for being ruthless and brutal. Always lawful. Always, follows the law, but ruthless and brutal.
Is this the guy you was trying to point out the other day?
All right.
So,
Today.
so
Vincent,
okay,
Vincent, you recognize the blonde guy sitting below him. All right.
that's
Yeah.
what I meant. Do I recognize him as the guy that was following me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Then I lean over to Penny. Yeah, that's the guy.
Your description was pretty spot on.
Thanks.
Fletcher says, I promised you I would make a formal petition, um, and that we would discuss what Idris's challenges were, and that you would have the full support of the University of Blackmoor and also of the Regency Council. And I have taken your case to King Uther and Sveal and the other members of the council, and they are willing to give Idris dispensation as he serves and takes risk for the state down below. However, this is a magic matter of arcane law and falls directly underneath the regulation of the Cabal. Mengar traveled here last night, and Vincent's been keeping you under surveillance for the last day or so. That being said, I'm going to allow. And Mengar looks at him when he says allow, lifts his eyebrow. He goes, "Sir." And Mengar begins speaking. And he looks at you and he goes, "You taken pact with next planar or arcane being, and you have secured benefit from that. I have issues. I need to understand the nature of this relationship, and what you are attempting to gain from it, Idris."
Well, the only thing I was attempting to gain at the time was my life. You know it's very dangerous down there, right? And as I understand, not technically part of Blackmoor.
So let me just cut you off there. Is the argument you're going to make that, according to the letter of the law, you are not in violation of law?
I would say not down there, but while I am above the dungeons, I would not be able to cast such spells or things or use them to my advantage, as that would not be in accordance with the arcane law here in Blackmoor. So my hands are tied above the surface, but in defense and offense of the state, maybe there might be a little wiggle room.
Sophistry. Have you ever seen someone possessed by the ache of Coot who might not have been attempting to inflict harm on the population become out of control? Have you ever seen
No,
that?
but I have seen two people possessed by it. They sing about it all the time, and I point to the two of them.
What was this thing that spoke to you, and what do you want? Penny, you have something to say?
Yeah. We were never possessed by the Egakut. I think it was just a catchy jingle, and back to the point of him being thrown in the dungeons. I think you can continue with that.
No, Penny, you have not been possessed by the ache of Coot. If you'd been possessed by the ache of Coot, you would either be in debt or in irons and in Vestfold.
And seeing as I am neither, I have not been possessed. Thank you for that point.
Yes. That is something that once it's brought to our attention, we can determine very, very rapidly. And the consequence for possession is imprisonment and an attempt to, if we can, liberate the spirit of the individual who's been so trapped. And so far, you have seen the shattered remnants of Polonus the Bard.
Who?
Yes.
The ineffective bard that I'm always pointing to and citing in my research. Yes.
Oh, bards. Don't get me started on bards. But that is enough on that subject. Tell me, Idris, what is this thing that has offered you power?
Well, it gave me the opportunity to reach my goals. And my goals are to make sure my father's not in charge of me anymore. You know? I want to be my own man.
Not pleased with being a Reagan. Well, that's worth the price of admission as it stands. So, as I understand it, Fletcher William tells me it gave you a sword. Would it be that sword?
Yes, this one. And I
Put
show
it
it
on
to
the
him.
table.
Boom. Yes.
Identify. Detect magic, identify, and then contact other plane.
I hope you call collect.
All right. And who speaks Kamasti or Elven?
I speak
I
Elven.
point at Delbert.
Delbert, are you going to eventually share this with your friends?
Did I speak it?
No, what he's saying to him, what questions he's asking.
Probably yes.
Okay. I will, just to save us from the horror of me typing, I'm going to just let you know what the questions are. He says, is the creature that is bound to Idris a agent of the Egg of Koot? And he seems to get an answer. And the second question he asks is the creature that seeks to control or that Idris is bound to infernal? And he seems to get an answer. And the next question he asks is, will it attempt to dominate and control him? And he waits for an answer. And fourth, he says, is the house that this Moonblade belongs to lost? And he gets an answer. And the final question he asks is Idris currently a risk to the state or to his friends? And he waits for an answer. And he stops. Idris, I don't know what's going on here, but Fletcher William has been willing to step forward for you, and you will probably not be the first or last person that we send down into the depths of the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor and who faces this risk. So, I say this to you. You are watched, you are observed, you have dispensation from the state, you have our eyes upon you. Meet Inquisitor Vincent. Inquisitor Vincent will be your very, very, very good friend anytime you come to the Servant. You will come to him, and you will debrief what your activities were, and he will, in my name and the name of the Cabal, make assessments as to whether or not you have been warped by the magic you've been exposed to or not. If we find that is the case, we will take action. If we find that you have continued to resist possession and are using the powers that you've been given in a way that aligns with the needs of the states and the needs of the Cabal, all will be forgiven. Now I'm going to ask you a question directly, and I need you to be frank with me. Have you told your family about this?
No, I haven't spoken to them.
Do you have any intention to tell your family about this?
No, because they would probably take it from me.
Well said. Idris, do you have any questions for me?
Where do I meet Vince when I come up? Festfold, here.
Oh, lad, don't worry. I will make it my duty to understand your comings and goings. I have access to the castle as I am the Inquisitor resident in this locale. And I will, as you pass, know when you pass, and when you return, know when you return. As part of your initial discussions with the Guardians and the Gatekeepers, I will speak also with you at that time to make certain that no foul hand has touched you. So, I would say, so you know, that Uther himself spoke of the choice that you and Delbert have made and holds it in high merit. And he said that if you had been touched by something in the darkness from below, and Mengar looks at him like he's running off at the mouth, he said, if you had been touched by something from the darkness below, he had good faith that the two of you, with your friends, would resist and use what you found for the betterment of all. So you know. And Mengar looks at him and says, such was said to us, and such dispensation has been given based on the action you took. And the Fletch, who's been silent, you see his body language release a little bit, and he says, are we done here? And Mengar looks at him and says, perhaps. Any other questions from anybody else? Anything else anyone thinks I should know?
Well, based on the track record of your prior groups, we all might die, and this problem will resolve itself. So you got that going for you.
I'm aware of that. Penny, anything I should know?
Yes, you are doing a wonderful job, and I really hope to never see you again.
Outstanding. I'm not going to make an insight check there. He's pretty much aware of sarcasm as a technique, just so you know. Jenna Bink.
No, I'm good with my research and stuff.
Do you trust Idris?
Absolutely not.
Well, you're a wise girl. Do you think he's been corrupted by what he's touched?
Well, I mean, that's a very broad question. I mean, if you're talking about specifically the things that we discovered in the, in the places that we've gone and that I've actually witnessed, then probably not. There's plenty of other places.
Go! Define for me the series of field tests you will deploy to make certain that he is not a victim of possession.
Deploying field tests was never part of the repertoire or my responsibilities as leveraged by Fletcher there. Would you like to add to that? Because and Penny, tell me if I'm doing this right. If you're going to add to my responsibilities and going down to the dungeon, that I have to, test and do research on my own party members, then I think that's additional pay that I should be getting.
And the
Did
people being
right?
tested. And the people being tested.
Yeah, I think you are doing this correct right now. Yeah, we would require more financial restitution.
Compensation. Yeah. Ooh, restitution. Yeah. I like that word. Restitution.
Yeah. I think I learned that one from listening to you.
Fletcher holds his hand up and he says, I'm certain all of you, if you see Idris behave in a manner that you find troublesome, would certainly let us know that, would you not?
Find troublesome.
What's the normal?
Define worse than normal.
So, harm you, become incoherent, be struck by seizures.
Oh, he's frequently incoherent. As a matter of fact, the other evening.
That sounds like last night.
Yeah, and he verbally harms us all the time. Yeah, this is not good.
This isn't a joke. This isn't a joke. I want you to be clear. We have had people possessed by the egg of Koot who have slain innocent individuals and citizens. This has happened. There are gangs of sorcerers, even within this city, who work against the state. If you see Idris begin to behave in manners that you consider suspect, I need you to let us know. Do you agree to that?
I should thank you because I think that you have just now taught me a valuable lesson. You see, Fletcher was trying to explain to me that, as a party, we need to come together and love each other. And to love each other, I think that we need to trust each other, or at least trust each other more than other people. And I will say that I trust these three people more than I trust you. So I guess that's something.
Delbert, is there anything I should know?
I'll keep an eye on him.
Excellent. You will, of course, execute according to the law of the Cabal and in a way that comports it by Scoffer's guidance, yes? And this, this is formulaic. All right.
Of course.
Very good. Well.
To the letter, Delbert. No bending, no breaking.
Says the man with the sword.
True.
I am
just remember.
Done with you. I am done with you. Be just. Protect the citizens. This is the core of what we do. And Idris, you are Regan, and I sincerely and profoundly hope nothing ill happens to you for both your house and the good of Blackmoor. Nobles who are willing to take the risk you are taking are rare, and I must guard the state and execute on the law of the Cabal. But at the same time, I understand and I respect the risk you and your friends have taken. And Jenna, trust them. Be guarded. I am done. And he stands up and walks out, and he looks over his shoulder, and Vincent says, Idris, I will see you soon.
You'll know where to find me eventually.
So I know very wonderful places where we can take meals. I know several places in the city that I think you would find interesting, and we will go there. We will speak. And Mengar is gone. Vincent is gone. Fletcher puts his hands in his face and says, "I am sorry for that, but it is the only course I could see."
It's okay. But did we die? No. So it's a win.
If they had found out without showing their cards as you gave me permission to, the consequence would have been profound. Mengar teleported here, came directly when we sent message.
That makes me jealous. My own father wouldn't teleport me to when I had to come here. Would have saved a lot of time. I get why he does it.
Well, friends, soon you descend. Is this your plan?
Yes.
When will you go? What is your schedule at this point?
Well, I have
I
an
think-
appointment in 2 days, so there's that.
Okay, out of character, do we want to take a week's downtime and then go back down? Or
Yeah,
do we
sounds
wanna-
about right.
That sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm waiting for that poison, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What I want you all to do then is I want you all to, drop into our Discord what your plans are for that week, so I could have it framed for you. And I think what we'll do in our next session is we will work through the mechanics of that week. If there's any specific role playing you want to do, flag it for me, so I can be prepared to drop into the characters that you need and have them ready for you. And then I think back into the depths, correct? Now, next, the 4th here, of course, next Saturday is July 4th, and I think some of us have conflicts, correct? So-
I'm actually free, but
Where
Yeah, I'm
we
actually
could tell.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll have a session and maybe some background flash stuff for some of us, but we'll also do something like play Lords of Waterdeep or Talisman, get some old school nerd on as part of that also. So I think our next session will probably be some role playing, a little bit of background work, and then let's play some board games, damn it. And then in 2 weeks we'll go right back in, work through the follow-up we need to do, and then back into the depths. Does that work for everybody as a schedule?
Yep.
All right. So let's walk through some good role-playing today. Let's close with sort of a discussion about what we learned about our characters today, what we think was important, and what we really want to do moving forward. And I am going to start with... who am I going to start with? All right. I am actually going to start with Jenna.
Okay. So it was interesting because I started out the episode with I am sad, lonely, don't trust anyone. And even though I got in the huge fight with Penny in the alley, and even though they tried to spike my drinks and almost ruined my notebook, I think that I'm slowly learning that love and friendship are a relative thing. And certainly I have more respect and trust for these people than random red-haired assholes.
Very good. Penny, let's give a quick recap of the episode from your perspective.
Yeah, I also same with the learning that there are individuals out here that are kind of dicks and want to cause us harm. I do think that I learned Idris does not let go of things and will ride certain things into the ground. I am starting to trust Jen a little more and realizing that it's possible to hurt her feelings, which is didn't think was capable. I didn't actually think she had feelings, but now that I'm learning that she does, I think Penny's probably going to be a little bit more guarded with what she says. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting session to see how everyone is reacting emotionally to this stuff and seeing how as a group we're coming together or falling apart at certain places.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think something that I'm like watching you and Jen do, Matt and Jen do, is build a relationship that's not just based on the mechanics of the game, but the interaction of the two characters. And the characters are very distinct, and both of you have trust issues for completely different reasons. And watching you do that's really been fun for me, and I, have tried to feed that a little bit, play into that, and be a good partner for you in terms of what you've done. So kudos from me for that. So, Idris, you had some interesting stuff going on today. You want to talk about it?
Oh, it was great. This sword is amazing. You know the door opens for you. Not only do I now know the Fletch, but I know personally an Inquisitor, and I've got a direct line to the High Inquisitor. Nailed it. That's how you move up in the world, Delbert. Moving on up.
Oh my God, the world according to Delpert never ceases to amaze. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing with the character and what you think you sort of unwrapped today for him?
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, he's. Oh,
Go ahead. Jimmy, did you have something you wanted to add? Go ahead.
no.
All right.
I thought you were talking to me.
Oh no.
yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
what that's what I thought too. The other way. Yeah, I was. He understands the seriousness of his situation, but if the Cabal doesn't act lawfully, then no one will trust them. So that's the shield and the angle he's got to use and stay within those boundaries. So, which he's learned very well by dealing with his father. So he's just like, hey, there's just more dads in the circle. I'm trying to get rid of them. I'm picking up more of them, up to 4 now, apparently. And it's just seeing what each one of them brings in and how to get things from each one of them, because they each represent a different stream that he can use.
What I've been trying to do for you and Delbert as Hythonians, as members of the nobility, is show you very clearly your position in that society and also how the politics kind of lay out between the different organizations that are out there. So I very much wanted you guys to feel that dynamic, right? And so your names have weight. Your relationship with the state has weight. And, I mean,
Yeah, and everybody's talking Kumasti around me. I got to start learning that stuff, especially when I'm going to carry one of their swords.
Yeah, Kamasti, the Cry, languages are languages, and I think they're important for our characters, and so I try and feed into them for you. I think it's good stuff. So, all right.
Yeah, basically the angle is keep soaking up the information, because where he came from, there wasn't all these people. He understood the structure. Now he doesn't. He's got to figure out what the structure is around him and how to navigate in that.
That works for me, and I think you're doing a good job of that. And you're doing it within the framework of his intelligence and his wisdom too. And you're a real sharp man, and role playing that 10 intelligence and 8 wisdom, I just find really commendable, because you don't take extra knowledge. You're role playing him as fun and a little dim, but completely self-absorbed. It's awesome to watch. So
he'll drop some nuggets here and there.
That's true. Delbert, so let's talk a little bit about what you went through today. Any feedback or thoughts on what your characters passed through, and what's going on in your family?
I was definitely happy to have an option with my sister, and I was a little irritated with Mom and the way that she second guessed when I told her it had to be this way. But I understand that any mom would do that. But Delbert was definitely irritated.
Well, your sister dropped a 24 persuasion check. All right. And so, I gave her high charisma. She's a stunningly cute little gal, and she's, got that charisma build for her NPC. And she nailed it, and it changed how that exchange was going to go down pretty profoundly. So that was, me taking the feedback of the dice in the situation and trying to go with it and role play. And the variable that I have as your DM with the NPCs is I let the dice add a random element to what I have programmed as a response. And I know the NPCs, and then I act based on the feedback in the situation, and that keeps it from becoming static. But I thought your response to her was good, and I thought the pressure you put on her was good, and the relationship you've anchored with Megan I really enjoy. I mean, Megan absolutely totally trusts you. I mean, and you just saved her and you saved the family from her perspective, and she knows it. And in terms of Blackmoor bookkeeping, in terms of narrative, we're not done with the sorcerer issue. We're not done with the Bardic College issue. We're not done with the issues of class that we keep coming across again and again, and we'll keep exploring them. But even for people who are late and distracted and don't show up on time, I tremendously respect the work that you guys do, and your commitment to the stream every week. And anything else you'd all like to add? All right. If that's where we're at, I'd like to say out to the stream to everybody, thank you so much for giving us a piece of your time and a piece of your life. It's a precious thing.
And we'll be rating
Oh, and we will be rating Uther once and always, as we always say, and have a great time. And who will we be rating, Delbert? I mean, Jimmy.
Classic Katie.
All right.
Classic Katie is a streamer who plays lots of role-playing games. She plays over on Table Story, and in particular, she's in a show called Nocturne. It's amazing. She plays two of the best characters in it, in my opinion. She's really something else. Her stream is not PG-13, so. With that in mind, that's who I would like to rate.
All right, let's go say hello and thank her because she's awesome.
All right, I'm ready. Say hi to Classic Katie, everybody.